So shall we move on with the session?
Yes.
So, Ameera, first of all, thank you for taking out time and joining our live today. So before moving into the session and getting into those strictly question type of things, I would I really want to ask you the unmute files. This name, this entire thing, this unmute. This is a very tiny word, but yet it's very powerful. So I really want to ask you, like, what is the story behind it, and what exactly motivated you to start this podcast platform?
Yeah. No, thank you. And firstly, thank you for listening to the podcast and saying all those wonderful things you just said. So I think the word unmute, I think everyone on this call also, I think as women, I just think as young people in India, frankly, we are constantly told to shut up or like stop talking or to really not, or to like leave it or forget about it, and words like that. And I just felt that there were all of these stories, especially around the body, that were silenced forever. And so the name unmute really came from like a chance to have a space where people would not be muted. They could actually unmute. So that's where that idea came in. And the unmute files in general, I think I worked in the space of sexual and reproductive health. So I used to do a lot of work around abortion, menstruation, various topics. But all the work that I used to do specifically was really around comprehension, understanding your rights, understanding certain issues, understanding your body, understanding different topics, things like that. And I felt like information and comprehension could only do that much, because when we struggle with our body, it doesn't matter if someone says, oh, the different forms of contraception are X, Y, Z, or use a menstrual cup, because I'm just uncomfortable with maybe touching my body, or I'm uncomfortable with even having sex. So the bigger problem I have is like, how am I going to be naked in front of someone? Or, just what those problems could be. Or, I'm scared of my menstrual blood. Nobody says things like that in those information sessions. And I wanted to build a space where, whether it was the podcast or it was, now it's moved on to workshops and things like that, it would come from a place of building compassion, not only comprehension. And I was like, because if these don't kind of work together, how can you really have change, right? Like, I can give you all the information in the world, but nothing really shifts till you don't feel like, okay, I kind of understand it. I understand myself better. I understand where I'm going and where my body is kind of taking me. Yeah.
That's amazing. And I must say, this entire platform you have, and especially the name itself is, I just cannot describe how I feel when I hear the entire thing, the unmute files. I just want to go and listen to the podcast. So, yeah, I also wanted to ask about this podcasting because, right now there is this trend that a lot of people are creating content and, creating reels and spreading their word. So you have this unique, I can say, approach to this, and instead of making reels and all those sort of thing, you decided to go on with a podcast. Although I personally love podcasts, it just reminds me of those radio days. So what was your take on that?
Yeah. So, I mean, I do think reels and shorter format has its space also. Like I said, especially to give information. I think it's a lot easier in a format like that. But I kind of did this 4 or 5 years ago. I recorded this like 5-minute clip, talking about my body journey. And somebody had asked me to do that, and I put it up on Instagram, and it almost like it went viral. Like people just messaged me and sent me these long messages of like, you know, when you said that, I felt like you were talking about my life, or like I felt like you were talking about my body, and I just completely get what you're saying. And then I was suddenly like, oh my God, there's so much power in someone's story. So it first came from the idea that I want to reclaim the space of our body. We're really spoken about, but we never get a chance to really speak about ourselves. And none of our body journeys are the same. Like we can even have, like, all of us could have PCOS, but all of us could have different symptoms, or how that manifests in our body and what works for us. So I was like, okay, I need to find a space where people can kind of tell their stories. And I picked an audio format because I feel like it's, people hesitate anyway. And I think showing, I mean, I would love eventually to have some form of video as well, but I feel like people feel more comfortable when they know that they're not being seen. But that journey of hearing it back in their own voice is still empowering. So that's how, you know, the idea of like, why not go down the path of a podcast came.
That's just amazing. I completely understand that, and not a lot of people are, you know, a lot of people are camera shy and they're not willing to open up and just come in front of the camera and record themselves. So a podcast sounds like a much easier alternative.
Yeah, I also think that when you're listening to a podcast, you're listening to someone's voice and you're not distracted by visuals, right? So when somebody's voice breaks, when they're saying something that affects them or makes them feel like they were unheard or unseen, you can hear it so powerfully in someone's voice that I feel like it has an even greater impact than sometimes a video.
It's almost like reading a book, I guess.
Yeah.
So these were my personal questions. So now I think we'll be moving on to the actual question and answer session. So this first question, I would like to put a disclaimer before asking this. So if you find it triggering in any way, or if you don't feel comfortable in answering it, you're free to skip it. Maybe you can just mention it. So like I was talking about it in the beginning of the session, we had a live session on Instagram in which you shared your PMDD story.
Yeah.
And it is something that not a lot of people are aware of.
Yeah.
And I think it's not just about being aware of something. Some people, you know, in the name of being ignorant towards something, they just straight up go insensitive towards it. So I'm pretty sure you must be having your share of experiences based on that. So would you like to tell us more about it? Like, how do you cope up with that insensitivity, or, you know, the stigmas that eventually get attached to sensitive topics like PMDD?
Yeah. So I think it's two things. I think one, nobody really knows what PMDD is. Most people aren't aware. So half the time, I think if you really acknowledge and say it, most people will be like, what are you talking about? I think it comes from that. I think a lot of the stigma really comes from the fact that I really struggle, you know, in the days leading up to my period. And I think people have a way of, they're not in your body, but they have a way of saying, but like everyone gets PMS now, why are you overreacting? Like, why is everything so extra for you? And I think those are the things we struggle with. And I think it comes with, I think with PMDD, that is one aspect. With PMDD is also like finding someone to believe you. And I mean that in the sense of, forget people around you, but even a doctor, right? Like it takes very long for a doctor to be able to be like, okay, that you have PMDD. Most doctors are also not very unaware of, at least in India. So I think those are the two places that you specifically get a lot of you know, resistance, I think. And then I think also, like when you're young and, you know, you want to go out and have a good time at a party, and I take certain medications where the doctor recommends not to have alcohol, or things like that. And then you go somewhere and people just think like, why are you so stuck up? Like everything with you is in a routine, but they don't understand, for me to manage at least the mental health aspects that come with PMDD, I do have to sometimes be a lot more careful about how my moods fluctuate, or not taking things like alcohol and stuff where the next day I get a really big high and the next day I get a low, or things like that. So I think it has its struggles, but like for me a large part was also just I felt relief knowing that this is PMDD. I just felt relief knowing that it was not in my head, because I'd heard that I was overreacting for so long, and being extra, so to say. So I think that is where I fall with PMDD. Yeah.
That's so true. I mean, like you mentioned, not a lot of people know about, especially about PMDD. And I personally did not know a lot about it. I just knew the full form, and I just knew that it's a terrible thing. I'm really sorry that you had to go through all of that. And think after, I tuned into that live we had with you, and I listened to that entire story and all your experiences. I got a great insight about PMDD in general. And
Yeah.
that was like an awakening sort of thing. Oh my God, I should never assume that what might be happening to the person in front of me. If I cannot say something, supportive, if I cannot empathize, I should just keep my mouth shut. At least not try to shut them down, or try to dismiss their experiences because I did not have it. So thank you so much for sharing those things with
No,
us.
thank you for saying that. I think what you just said, I think that's a large part about supporting people. I think all of us here, even though you all know so much about what you do, but I think we always never know enough about what someone's going through. And I think just coming from a place of like compassion and openness is like the only way really to give the person space to process whatever they're going through.
Also, moving on to the next question. Since you are a mental health advocate and you talk about a lot of things, like you had this one podcast in which you were talking about body image issues. I don't remember the name of the guest. It started from A, but it was one of the latest. That's all I remember.
Okay.
And when I heard that entire podcast, I was in deep thoughts. Like, yes, this is so true. This body image issue, which a lot of people seem to dismiss. And in fact, so many people would just come to you and tell you, hey, you are so chubby, you're so fat, just eat less. You're so thin, you'll just fly away in the wind or something. Why are you so dark? Why is your hair like that? Just people just I don't know, just because they have this idea of being presentable and idea about beauty in general in their head, they think that it's their right to just go to someone and just scrutinize everything about them. So I think that was very powerful, and that entire podcast I think I went back to many points to listen to those specific sentences multiple times. And that kind of assured me too, because I was also body shamed for, I think, my entire teenagehood. And that had a very long lasting effect on me. I think I'm still dealing with that. So, exactly. So, like, at least people are supposed to be empathetic towards everyone if they cannot.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I have this really bad habit of taking a detour.
No, I love your insights as you're going. Yeah.
So moving back to the question, so since you have more than 8 years of experience in this field, and you have been doing a lot of work on social media, and you have done like multiple podcasts Oh, I'm so sorry. I think there was a power cut.
No, we
I'm
can
still
see.
connected, right?
Fine. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So, do you think like your entire journey of podcast changed your perspective about something, maybe especially in terms of menstrual health or maybe mental health? Do you think you are a different person now in at like in some point, in some parts?
Yeah. No, I think that's a really good question. I think the whole process has really changed me, because I think when you hear people's stories so intimately, you realize where your biases come from, and that there is a lot of space that you need to probably interrogate and really realize where you can kind of improve how you view the world. Um, for me specifically, I think I realized, like, when you were talking about body image and you were talking about size and color and things like that, I think with the unmute files, when we talk about the body, it moves beyond, the idea is to move beyond even beauty, right? And realize that actually the problem is we aren't curious about our bodies. Like, we are just not taught to be. And that's where, and I think for me, that was the biggest learning, because that's the same thing with menstruation, right? We are not curious enough to know where our blood comes from, why it comes, where it goes, what the texture is, why do we sometimes have discharge, why do we sometimes have different colors of different days of our period. Like, why is that? Because there's just such a taboo around all of these topics, and then there is also such a taboo around being curious about it, that I feel like I could pick every person in this country, probably irrespective of their size, and I can tell you with full confidence that they are hesitant about some part of their body, whatever that might be. And I think that, and for me, I realized the biggest learning was that we need to really start being curious, like, and stop seeing our body as a separate thing from us, and really start embracing that this is a huge part of us. And I think the same way, like I said, with menstruation, it's the same thing, right? Like, if you kind of take it as that is something that you are, and that is something that your body and you do, I think your viewpoint of it changes. I think you ask more questions, and I think the minute people start getting curious and asking more questions, like, you're changing everything, really.
Exactly. It's quite difficult to ask questions and to be curious about your own body when I think from the beginning you are not, I cannot say that you're taught to do that, but basically you have this impression that you're supposed to be ashamed of certain things like menstruation in general. Uh,
Yeah.
Even today, not a lot of people talk it out loud.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's the same way, like when you said that, it was very brave of you to talk about your PMDD journey. I feel like I want to reach a point where it's not really brave to do
Yes,
anything, right?
exactly.
Like, I'm talking about my body. What is so, but I get where you were coming from. But what I mean is, I think once we all start being so curious, like, it won't be brave or unbrave. Like, seeing somebody's underwear stained would not be an issue. It would just be like, oh yeah, you're stained.
Exactly. And especially that curiosity coming from women is
Yeah,
again some next level
yeah,
thing. You are
exactly,
supposed to be ashamed of it and you are talking about
exactly.
it openly. That is why
Yeah,
the brave word.
yeah,
So I think we are almost at the end of the session. So I would like to wind up by asking just one selfish question, maybe.
yeah. No,
So you have known Allah since I can say a long time now. So you are
yeah,
familiar with our work, I presume.
yeah, yeah.
So what do you think is being done best, and what can be done better by us, in your opinion? And we are up for positive criticism, so please feel free to.
Yeah. So I think what I see that it's being done beautifully is, I think you cover a range of issues in menstrual health that most people don't cover. Menstrual health, menstrual rights, and you do it in a very inclusive way. And I think those are, I think, some of the two most powerful things that I think does and will make Alhar stand out even more. I think that is something like which has become part of your ethos that you should definitely keep. But in that same lens, I think, like I said, everybody has different. You can Google as much as you want in the world, and there'll be some things about people's menstrual health, about their bodies, that is still not available on Google, because it's really not spoken about that much. So I feel like if there could be a way to incorporate people's personal experiences and people's personal menstrual health journeys, I think that would be great. I've seen it through some of the lives and stuff like that, but I also feel like I said, people feel hesitant. So sometimes a lot of stuff would not be shared on a live. So if it could be through anonymous stories, if it could be through anonymous stories that could be used as question answers with the doctor, but some way that keeps people's identity and everything a secret, if that's what they want, but really, still incorporates and starts makes us more aware of those questions, and I think that would be something great that would be helpful.
Thank you so much for your suggestion. I think every one of us might be taking notes now. So
and I just read Shalini's message. I think, yeah, definitely. I think that is something we could discuss post. And even though I only talk around the body, but I think what I really do enjoy doing is having people tell their stories. So I would love to, have us figure something out together.
That happens soon. I'm really excited for that. I think we are almost at the end of the session. So thank you so much, Ameera, for taking out time for us, especially being in Mussoorie.
No, I'm happy to.
Okay, so I think, Shalini, do you want to say something?
Yeah, thank you, Ameera and Subhashini. I think this is one of the most, for the lack of a better word, personal conversations that I've witnessed, because both of you shared so boldly, and I'm so grateful. I know it takes a lot to share something or about something, at some point, which makes you feel vulnerable. It takes a lot, and the way you shared it with us here, knowing that this is a safe space, and you trusted in us with your experiences, I think that meant the world. And the way you shared about them, placed them into context, and just put everything in perspective. I couldn't be more grateful, Ameera, that you found time for it today. And
thank you for asking me.
Yeah, so grateful that you did this with us, and thank you, Subhashini, for moderating it so well. I think nobody could have done it better than you. And Ameera, I think this was more like an awakening, if I can say that, because when you talked about compassion for better comprehension, or when you talked about even some of your experiences which were relatable for me too, and I'm sure for so many of us on the call right now, I mean, it was so good. I'm so happy we did this. Thank you so much to both of you, and for everybody at Alhar who joined this call and listened in. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. And thank you, Subhashini. I think I just your questions, and I'm very grateful that you listened to the podcast as well. Yeah.
It's just so amazing. You just cannot help listening to them, I guess. Okay, so I think we'll wind up now.
Okay, perfect.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you again.